Hello, everyone. This is Sharon with Entelechy Visions, and this is an energy update for the week of October 26th through November 1st. So, we are finishing out this powerful cleansing and purging month of October, and we are turning the page on an equally powerful month, as you may already feel the energy amping as we turn the corner to November. We have had this month capped by two full moons, and the month began with a full moon on the 1st and is ending with another full moon, which is really rare to have two full moons in a month, on the 31st. And so the second full moon is called a blue moon because of that rare occurrence. But it's also showing the themes that we've been moving through and how the entire month has been capped and balanced by this cleansing and purging full moon influence. So as we move towards the second full moon, on the 31st, on the night of Halloween, which is already really potent, it's one of my favorite holidays, but it's also a time when the veils between the worlds are very thin, and when we are honoring our ancestors, that the origins and the roots of Halloween are a time to honor those who have passed over. So this adds an element to that kind of underworld journey that we have already been moving throughout the entire month. This full moon brings a dose of the unexpected, almost like an element of surprise to things. So it has a quality of liberation and freedom, kind of a breakthrough kind of energy where maybe we have felt stuck in some parts of our lives or in many parts of our lives, and maybe there was something that was holding you back in those areas of your life that you just haven't been able to budge on, that you haven't been able to get clarity on or really move forward with. So this moon acts as a dose of movement to liberate us from the very thing that has been keeping us stuck, from the very thing that has been holding us back from the next chapter of our life to unfold. So this powerful energy assists with this breakthrough into a sense of individuality. It's really supporting that individual self-empowerment part of our life and moving us more towards the next chapter that's opening after we have moved through all of the integration and really addressing our underworld, our shadow side, not just for ourselves, but in relationship. And so that's been the theme throughout the entire month of October. So we are now taking this quality and the lessons that we have learned onward with us into the new month. But this next moon is acting as that catalyst to bring a sense of clarity, some kind of liberation, whether that is for relationships or the balance of your own relationship with yourself or some area that needed some kind of balance in your life. So the pieces may not fully be clear yet with this full moon. However, it does provide some clarity, but there is a part of the moon being an inspiration for patience, of understanding that the unraveling and the unfolding of the bigger picture will occur over the next several months, and that we are getting a little bit more of a breath of fresh air with this full moon to provide a little bit more ease on what we've been struggling with, on what we've been trying to move forward with. We are still currently under the influence and the experience of the retrograde journeys. So the double retrogrades of Mars and Mercury have really asked us to go within and to slow down and integrate all of these lessons So that action, that forward momentum isn't quite propelling just yet. It's not part of the influence just yet. However, the clarity is needed before we can move forward and have that momentum back in our life. So, any unexpected happenings or news that may surface with this full moon, as it does kind of hold that quality to it where expecting the unexpected, something could catch you by surprise or maybe throw you off guard a little bit. And it doesn't necessarily have to be bad news, because I know we've been moving through a lot of layers of things lately, that it could be unexpected news that is positive, something that you've been waiting to hear, something that you've been hoping would transpire, or something that you didn't even realize could happen that shows up as a gift and a blessing. So that could also be a quality that comes around during this full moon. So if you do journey outward, or you find yourself in a safe space where you're celebrating Halloween, maybe in a small group or with those you love in a tiny group in a space, that just to be mindful that this quality is influencing that evening, that there is this surprise element, this expecting the unexpected, and the power of the full moon is really, really potent. And it's also leading us towards eclipse season, which begins in November. So we have our first eclipse of the season at the end of November, but we'll already start to kind of feel that energy, and the full moon will possibly bring a quality or themes of the eclipse season with it as well. So the energy is amping right now, as I'm sure you can feel it, especially in the US with the elections and all that is approaching right now. So things may feel a bit overwhelming. There's a lot that is occurring in the psychic highways of the collective presently. So just be mindful of what you are feeding yourself, and not necessarily food, but more so, how are you feeding your mind? What information are you taking in? What are you spending your time looking at, of researching or focusing upon right now? Because there's so much occurring with the collective and with that in itself, with the elections, that it's very easy to kind of get swept up in everything and have our nervous systems become a little burnout or overwhelmed with the information overload, or what others are feeling at this time and what the collective is moving through. So just remember to take time for yourself and to be mindful of what you are focusing upon, what you are allowing into your space, and what you are feeding your mind on a regular basis. That it's good to stay informed, but also to take time for yourself so that you do not feel frazzled or swept up by the chaotic energies of these times, because we're in a really, really amplified time, and it's only going to continue to amplify. And not just speaking about what's occurring on the election space, but in general, this amplification is moving throughout our entire planet. And this is the ascension journey that we are on. And so if things are looking pretty chaotic on a personal level, if you're noticing that a lot of unexpected events have popped up in your life or with those that you know that this is part of it. This is part of the ascension path that we are on. And what is the ascension path? If you're not familiar with it, that we are raising as a consciousness, as a collective, as a planet, together. And so in these times, as we elevate, it can bring up and out anything that is not of the light, that is not of that new vibration or elevation. And so as we amplify and things escalate even more, it can seem as though situations arise out of the blue that feel like layers of experiences, that people may be moving through crises or traumas or issues, losses, and it may all feel layered and jumbled. And that can provide also a sense of overwhelm and frazzled nervous systems, just dealing with that and maintaining. Underneath all of the layers and elements of this powerful year and the pandemic that we've been moving through. So there's a lot happening. And if you are feeling really off and not yourself, know that it's normal to feel that way. Because this has been a year. This has been an epic time. And these times are huge on the planet, but also we've never moved through this. We have never experienced this as a planet and as a humanity. That we are raising in consciousness while we are still in human form. And that is what is occurring right now. So there's an epic thing that is underlying this whole journey that we're moving through. So pan out and remember the bigger picture of what we're actually doing here and why things are looking so scattered and chaotic is because balance is trying to return. And so everything that is maybe popping up that feels challenging, traumatic, or causing a deep reaction within you is because balance is trying to return on an individual level and as a collective. So some dismantling may need to take place individually in your own life or with those you love, or dismantling in the world of old systems, old ways. And sometimes that takes place and comes up in the form of something very scattered and messy and looks very chaotic. But ultimately, it's just trying to reset. It's trying to reshape. It has to deconstruct in order to create and construct something that will work, that will align and feel more balanced and resonant with the vibration and the new way of what we're moving through. So remember this, if you're moving through a very tricky time, but also to not dismiss the fact that you're feeling what you're feeling, and to give yourself the time, the care, the attention, and to ask for help if you do need it. That don't be afraid to reach out to a friend, to a family member, to a therapist, a practitioner, if you are feeling isolated or moving through something very challenging right now. So we will be entering Scorpio season this week on the 22nd, this past week. And this is marking a season that is all about the themes of the transformative and alchemical process. That Scorpio is very much about that alchemy of taking something that may be lower vibration or something that isn't working and transforming it into something that will work, into a higher state. The process of alchemy, of rising up out of the ashes to transform and process, whether that's through our emotions or whether that's through some balance that needs to be returned in our life and in our relationships. So this season will have us continuing that integration and that theme of relationship focus, but the energy shifts a little bit away from that theme of balance in the Libra season and moves more into that alchemical and passionate process of really rising from the ashes of ourselves, of our relationships, and finding a new way to really integrate all that we have learned. And it can be a very emotionally processing time around that as well. So we do have some levity around that midweek that provides a little bit of a sense of clarity. So it could reveal some revelations or some answers that can show you a little bit more of a solution, especially around relationships. Whatever you've been moving through, whether that is with your intimate connections, your own relationship with yourself, business partnerships, friendships, whatever the theme has been for you throughout the month of October, we could see some kind of solution or clarity around that very theme that you've been grappling with throughout the entire month. So this can provide a sense of an overhaul, but also a healing and transforming for both sides of the party in that connection. So mid-November, and not to jump too far ahead, but just to know this integration, this purging, this slow moving energy that we've been under, and all this underworld processing does have some relief as we move forward with Mercury on election day, and we also move forward with Mars mid-November. So the energy will start to pick up a little bit more come mid-November as we've processed and moved through all of that already. So you may be feeling somewhat antsy at this time as we have had a lot of integration, and maybe some impatience has been arising, or maybe some intolerance of just all that we've moved throughout 2020. And then October added that dose of diving into the underworld and really excavating so much more, that right now there could be some agitation. There could be a lot bubbling up from underneath the surface for you, or even for those around you. And definitely in the collective, there's a lot bubbling up right now. So this election season is a little bit fueled by that, to see that people are feeling impatient, they're feeling irritated, angry, wanting things to just move forward and kind of get on with the show, get on with some kind of solution, some answer, which is understandable. However, just remember that this is part of the quality of life right now, and the density that you're seeing out in the world, or maybe coming up within yourself, is being influenced by this energy presently. So hold strong to your truth. Try not to get swayed by what others are sharing with you that may trigger you or cause some really intense reaction. Know when to step away and to really hold strong and true to your light, to a place of heart-centered love. And I know that can be easier said than done, but I keep hearing that theme as we approach this coming week, to really hold strong to your light, to really root into that power and that centered space within you, because that will be your anchor as we move through the next several weeks. We are moving through a kind of escalated and potent passage surrounding the elections themselves. Kind of up until the 11th, the energy will be very, very heightened. So anchoring into that light and into that space of your own truth will be an amazing support for you. And if you're having a tricky time doing that, don't feel afraid to go online and find some support that will kind of get you to that space. Whether that is a guided meditation, some kind of relaxing, healing music, or going outside and really tuning into and connecting to nature for that added support during these times. grounding and rooting into the planet can be such a healing benefit as we move through maybe some scattered, chaotic fray. So finding any kind of tools for support that you need at this time will really benefit as we move through the first parts of next month. So I'll speak a little bit more about that in the upcoming update, but just remind yourself to stay elevated. And if you do get into that space where you're feeling off, which is completely normal, just remind yourself and kind of gently nudge yourself back to a space of centeredness, of alignment. It is easy to get stuck in our heads at this time, but we can choose to really where we're laying our focus upon. So if your mind is running a mile a minute, again, just remind yourself to come back, be mindfully aware of what you are telling yourself within your head, what kind of thoughts you are choosing, and you can choose more elevated thoughts, and that will help to shift your reality. So I'd like to share with you the channeled message for this week as a reminder to stay strong in these times, to stay elevated, and to rise above anything that you may be challenged by at this time. This is only temporary, and we're moving through all of this for a reason. Be the plane that rides above the storm. It's quite beautiful above the clouds. The light looks different from up there. You may have to ride through the storm to get to that space, but on your way to it, use your breath as grace, for it will open up a larger space within that feels more like home and less like enduring all of the pain within. Be a force of love, how nature created you to be, to shine your heart into all areas that don't have the light to see. Allow this force to grow like a contagious, innate grace that moves through all layers and levels of this world, leaving nothing untouched by its perfect pace. So I leave you with that message for this week. I hope that you have a happy Halloween, however you choose to spend it, and a wonderful upcoming month. Stay strong, hang in there, and if you need additional support for your personal situation, you can learn more about my services at entelechivisions.com. I do invite you to like and subscribe to this channel, as it does help to support the channel. If you do need additional connection, you can join my Facebook groups, Arizona Lightwork Community, if you're in Arizona, or Wellness Together at Home. I hope you have a wonderful week, and thank you for listening.